Welcome back, everyone, and we are moving with our series on Cold War. And today we are going to cover a very interesting phase right after the end of Second World War and the split, which will be known as Cold War period, and primarily between the United States of America, which was the pattern for the free world, liberal powers, and democracy, while on the other hand we had Soviet Union, which was holding the flag for communism. So the the perception overall, based on the historical circumstances, was that U.S. Would retire itself from its commitment in Europe, and it will not confront the Soviet desire of a world takeover in the form of communist revolution and the umbrella of socialism. And this is primarily what we see from Stalin's perception during the period 1946, where it was believed that it is inevitable that the Red March will conquer the entire Western Europe and move into Asia and Africa and the regions. And for that, US isolationism was what Moscow was calculating. However, as we say, the cost benefit theory, the cost was too high. There was no way Americans could disassociate itself from the rest of the world, given the circumstances. The world has gone through the Industrial Revolution. It was too well knitted, and an event happening in one place of the world that was something out of question, that is not going to impact the US as itself. And for that, it was firmly decided that it will confront the containment by force of the socialism, and it will support economically, militarily, whichever states is resisting. And of course, considering the world was bipolar, so if one pole, one power center is influencing or coercing the other nations, and if it is not equally repelled by the other power, the other superpower, it will eventually vanish. So, based on that, what we come into the era of the Truman Doctrine, the containment, and it was championed by Joy F. Cannon. We remember from the episode where we covered the long telegram, where it was the primary objective was to influence U.S. policy into understanding that uh, it is it is bound to reverse the spread of communism, because the Soviet policymaker, they are not going for coexistence, and for that it has to be a determined effort. So, one very influential debate was what we term as the domino theory, that if one state or in a series of allies, if one falls to the communism, and its impact will be replicated all across the region. So it will be a spread of the Red March in the form of dominoes falling if US doesn't stand in between and hold the liberal values for those who cannot protect themselves. So, moving to the Truman speech that he delivered in front of the Congress in March 1947, and from the original excerpts, we will review for the true essence of the speech, to have a broader perspective of what US feared it was up against, and what was the ask how they are going to respond to that. So, firstly, it was the fall, the inevitable fall of Greece and Turkey, which triggered this event and this phase. And previously, it was Britain which was safeguarding their interest. It was financially supporting them militarily. However, by that time, the empire had suffered a lot, and it was not possible for them to maintain any of such commitments that we see in Asia as well, the way it was happening in the form of decolonization in Africa. So it was in no stature to maintain its commitment, and for that it had relieved itself, and or that the government in Greece, which was challenged by, as we see, the communist forces moving in from Albania, Bulgaria, and Yugoslavia. And of course, the mastermind was Marshal Tito from Yugoslavia. And this threat was uh, on the doors of the Greece, which was too critical to leave. So that's how he says, Truman in his address, uh, for the survival or as a free nation. The appeal has been made, uh, seeking US engagement. Otherwise, the liberal values, democracy, freedom of speech, that will be lost in Greece. And he moves on that in violation of the Yalta Summit, which was signed between the victors, that the will of the people will not be challenged. It will be respected by all the victors, so that world peace is maintained. That has been violated, and in areas, in countries like Poland, Romania, and Bulgaria, that's the Eastern Europe, where Churchill will famously draw the line, the Iron Curtain. The totalitarian regimes, referring to dictatorships, one-party rule, communism, that had taken place, and it is in violation of the commitment US had of non-intervention peaceful coexistence. So the call has come that it rises to the occasion and holds the flag for the free people, and whatever is the case, it has to help out the people of Greece. And then we see the domino, that if Greece falls, it will be Turkey, and then it will be the entire Middle East, and there will be no stoppage to it. It will reach the doorsteps of America. And moving further, that it is very important that it's not Greece, Turkey, or Middle East. The US confidence, the people's confidence, even in Western Europe, which and Eastern Europe, which directly impacts America, being its sphere of influence. So that will be shaken as well if US withdraws itself and refuses to help. So next, when there is a rebellion, if there is an insurgency in Western Europe or Eastern Europe, uh, nobody will be trusting US to come to its defense. So the stakes are too high. uh, just uh, stressing on this point, it's very important. I'll read it through. The third highlighted text: the seeds of totalitarian regimes are nurtured by misery and want. They spread and grow in the evil soil of poverty and strife. They reach their full growth when the hope of a people for a better life has died. We must keep that hope alive. So that's what the call was. That on one side, it is the economic factor. If deprivation rises, then the people restlessness will drive them into the theories of socialism, the revolution, and extremism. That's what is at stake. And for that, people shouldn't lose hope. They should have the hope. That's what will give them the power, the strength to challenge such takeovers. And for that, the US has to rise to the occasion. And as it ends, the free people of the world look to us for support in maintaining their freedom. So the world is looking at US because, as per Truman Doctrine, it is time to realize that it is the US which is going to save the world. It has fallen upon them. The threat is too high, the stakes are too high, the Red March is too powerful as a state which can be ignored. That's out of question. There won't be any challenge to their might. They will just, it would be a snowball effect, and it is only US which can stop it. And at that time, you got to realize US was having edge, like it had the nuclear power in its arsenal that changed the context of the World War II when it was dropped, and the Soviets never had it. They got that 10 capacity in 1949. So at that time, US has that edge. And post this absolute uh, overt call for confrontation and determination that the forceful spread will be stopped, we see its translation into Marsh Plan, which was the one of the imminent factors that led to the Bern blockade that we covered in the last lecture. It was an economic recovery program. It's named after US Secretary of State George Marshall. A value of 13 billion, which was to reconstruct Europe, the friendly states which wanted to resist any forceful political adventure by the Soviet Union through communist revolution, and this restored the confidence which was required. So post that, we see the sphere of influence established for the US in the form of the NATO countries, and on the other hand, the Eastern Europe and other parts of the world aligning itself to Soviet Union, or uh, aligning themselves to socialism, and naturally coming under the umbrella of Stalin's USSR being the patron of the revolutionary thought in the world. And based on that, this Cold War uh, rollouts. Previously, it was only in theory, but that is where we see the rollout into in open policy and open actions. So, for the timing, we will conclude from here, and we'll be back with another interesting lecture pretty soon. So, take care. Thank you.